I need a number. What is the number? You don't have it?
I'm not going to give you any names so you can attack them.
Why not?
So you can attack them. I'm not doing that. On their own accord or terminations were done by the standards set at the FBI that have been carried out
With this
consistently.
question, I'm getting to the leadership of the FBI, and you don't have that.
Senator Hirono put Kash Patel in a chair and asked him something so basic it should have taken 10 seconds to answer. Instead, he stayed silent, and the FBI's biggest secrets stayed exactly where Patel wanted them, buried. What happens when the director of America's most powerful law enforcement agency refuses to answer the simplest questions under oath?
I want to better understand the scope of the turnover and the changes occurring at the FBI. Since January 2025, how many FBI employees have retired, resigned, been fired, or otherwise separated from employment?
So this all started on September 15th. 2025, Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator Mazie Hirono of Hawaii put a question to FBI Director Kash Patel that required nothing more than a number. How many FBI employees have retired, resigned, been fired, or separated from the agency since January 20th, 2025? Simple, factual, mandatory for oversight. What she got back was a masterclass in institutional evasion.
I need a number.
We'll get you a number.
What is the number? You don't have it?
Not off the top of my head, and I want to get you the right number.
Patel's response was not ignorance. It was a system. He promised to get the number later, deflected immediately to arrest statistics, and then pivoted to something called a plus-up, meaning offices that received additional agents. Here's the problem with that.
Would it surprise you to know that it's probably in the thousands, like 5,000?
I don't think that number's accurate.
You don't know. Next question.
Hirono never asked who was added. She asked who was gone. Those are two completely different questions, and Patel spent the entire exchange answering the one she did not ask.
How many special agents or analysts have left or been fired from the FBI since January 20th, 2025?
She pushed through 4 variations of the same question. Total separations. Agents and analysts specifically. Senior leadership. Then, which division lost the most people? Not one answer contained a figure.
Say, we will get you the numbers, and anyone that retires is of their own volition, and anyone that is terminated at the FBI, as I've said before, is done so because they have failed to meet the standards and uphold their loyalty and oath to the Constitution.
Patel also faced questions about scores of other firings, including the 5 career staffers who headed the Bureau's branches, and 18 of the 53 leaders running various field offices, yet refused to answer how many agents had been fired, forced out, or left the agency under Trump. Think about that. 18 out of 53 field office leaders, and the director had no number ready.
We have allocated a plus-up for field offices across the country so that the FBI can continuing the historic achievements it's done in these last 7 months. When you're talking about firings, you're looking for a media hit and a fundraising clip, and I'm not going to give it to you.
Here is where it gets heated. When Hirono pressed specifically on firings, Patel accused her of hunting for a media clip and a fundraising moment. That pivot was not accidental. The moment he shifted from answering a question to questioning why she was asking it, he turned a transparency failure into an attack on congressional oversight itself. That is a strategy, not a stumble. He knew what he was doing.
Your testimony is nobody has left. Next question.
Nope, that's not my testimony. You asked it one time. I answered it one time. You didn't get the answer you wanted for your clip, so you keep asking it, and I told you I'd get you the numbers, but you can keep asking it.
The name issue was even more damning. Both executive assistant directors overseeing national security and intelligence had been forced out early in the year. Hirono asked who replaced them. Patel refused to provide names, citing concern that naming them would invite attacks. The same answer came when she asked about the cyber division leadership, which had also lost its top figures.
As many
the
as
people
before.
Who took the places of
I'm not going to give you any names so you can attack them.
Why not?
So you can attack them. I'm not doing that.
His answer was that supremely qualified individuals now held those seats, but he would not say who they were. The purge of senior officials had included about a half-dozen executive assistant directors, the Bureau's top managers overseeing criminal, national security, and cyber investigations. The people now filling those chairs are being shielded from the very body that funds their salaries.
The
You're not
people
gonna
sitting
give
in
me the
those seats
names
are
of-
extremely qualified to handle the job.
You're
We
not
would
gonna
not
give
have
me
the
the names
results.
of
We would-
personnel who
we would
should
not
be
have the
on your
reduction
website.
of
Fine,
violence in the
moving
state
on.
of Hawaii if we did not allocate the
Earlier
resources we
this
did.
year,
This is not about protection. FBI leadership names are not classified. They appear in org charts, press conferences, and congressional reports under every previous director. The refusal to name replacements for national security and cyber leadership positions is either an admission that those seats are not yet filled or that the people in them cannot survive public scrutiny. Neither option is acceptable.
Few tense exchanges between Director Patel and Democrats, many of them saying flat out they do not believe Patel has the credentials to lead the FBI and believe that he is undermining the very mission of.
A lawsuit filed just days before the September 15th hearing alleged that Patel told former acting director Brian Driscoll that his superiors had directed him to fire anyone they identified as having worked on a criminal investigation against President Trump. Patel sat in front of the Senate that very day. Hirono was asking him about departures. He refused to give a single number. The lawsuit was already public record, and he still would not speak plainly.
FBI agents' primary responsibility is exactly what they are assigned to do. We always work with our
so since they
interagency
returned
part.
to their positions,
If you're not
are
going to
they
let
still
me
in
answer,
those
why don't you
positions?
just do your soliloquy in the 4.5 minutes you have left?
Then came counterterrorism. Earlier in the year, counterterrorism agents were reassigned to immigration enforcement operations. After Iran issued threats following American strikes on its nuclear facilities, those agents were reportedly returned to national security work. Hirono asked whether they had stayed in those roles. Yes or no. Patel told her she had 4.5 minutes left and should use them for a speech. The director of the FBI told a senator to stop asking questions. That moment alone should dominate the headlines.
I'm not asking for a soliloquy. It's just a yes or no. Are those people who were returned to their jobs still on those jobs? Yes or no?
They never left.
Reports indicate that the 25 largest FBI field offices were ordered to divert 45% of their agents from primary missions to work on mass deportation of immigrants. Nearly half of agents in major offices pulled from counterterrorism, cyber, and organized crime work. Hirono was asking about this directly. Patel offered arrest totals in response. The numbers he was willing to share were always the ones that made him look effective. The ones that would reveal the cost of his decisions never materialized.
Director Kash Patel returned to Capitol Hill ready to scuffle, and senators did not hold back.
You have made our country weaker and less safe.
Tuesday, Democrats and
By September 30th, an estimated 800 FBI employees, roughly 40% of them special agents, left the Bureau's payrolls as a result of the deferred resignation buyout program alone. That is just one mechanism of departure, and that figure landed 2 weeks after the hearing where Patel could not produce any numbers at all. The math was not secret, it was simply inconvenient.
the president was asked if he still has faith in his director. Today, he responded, saying more broadly that he has faith and confidence in everyone in his administration.
Plans were also reported to cut the cyber division's personnel by half, despite ever-increasing threats from foreign adversaries. At the same hearing, Patel pointed to 409 cyber arrests and a 42% increase in convictions as proof the division was thriving. He cited outcomes while concealing the structural damage happening underneath them. That is precisely the kind of sleight of hand that oversight hearings are designed to catch.
You can delete my 16 years of government service to multiple administrations all you want. The fact is that I was a public defender. I was a national security prosecutor.
At the other end of the employment spectrum, the FBI faces significant turnover among special agents in charge, the leaders of its 56 field offices, with many offices now led by someone who has been in the job for under a year. Patel acknowledged plus-ups in California and Florida. What he never addressed is what happens when the people filling those seats have a fraction of the institutional knowledge of the veterans they replaced.
I led the counterterrorism missions for the White House. Those are just some of the jobs I held in my 16-year career. There was no loyalty then. There's no loyalty now to anything but the Constitution.
A lawsuit described the environment inside FBI leadership as partisan and inept, with leaders struggling to please the White House and willing to dismiss anyone who crossed Trump. Patel, at his confirmation hearing, promised no one would be terminated for case assignments. The lawsuit alleged that within months, he was telling senior officials there was nothing he could do to stop the firings because, in his own alleged words, the president had not forgotten what the FBI did to him.
I noted, but others, your most significant
Actually gets this place going.
qualification was your 100% loyalty to President Trump. And I fear that that continues to be the motivating factor in your position as FBI director. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ma'am.
At the close of the hearing, Hirono named what many had been saying since before his confirmation. Patel's defining credential was not his resume, but his loyalty to one man. Patel pushed back with 16 years of service across multiple administrations. That record exists. But a resume does not explain why the director of the FBI cannot tell Congress how many people work there, who is leading its most critical divisions, or whether counterterrorism agents are doing counterterrorism work. Those are not hard questions. They are the only questions that matter. If this kind of accountability matters to you, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a hearing that deserves this much attention.